Welcome to Lecture 11, Adaptation and Accommodation. I would like to start by talking about a teaching hierarchy. Ideally, when we teach a new skill, we'd like to verbally communicate the learning activity to a learner. This is a construct called teaching. Teaching involves a verbal description of instruction. For example, giving someone direction or explaining the rules of a game. If teaching doesn't bring about the correct result, then you resort to training. Training involves the systematic presentation of information to eliminate judgment and consistently introduce a skill. In other words, you teach the skill in steps that remain the same. For example, a 20-step bus training program or a laundry program. If there is a step the learner is unable to master, the next step in the teaching hierarchy is adaptation. Adaptation refers to the modification of a step to reduce judgment. Some examples include pictorial guide or templates. If adaptation does not bring about the successful mastery of the task, the next step is partial participation. Partial participation involves completing tasks for individuals that they are unable to do for themselves. Some examples of partial participation include registering for a recreation program or pouring bathwater. Consider the following video clip that features Mark Gould demonstrating single pieces of learning.
Perhaps the simplest format is one where you show the person what's correct. You say, that's the one. That's correct. Then you say, which one is it? He has something to pull back on, something to help him with. And he makes a decision, makes a guess, and of course you can verify it. A slight modification of that is where you show him and say which one is correct without having first told him, and then over the course of several trials of several times through, you say, if he points to this one, you say, well, try again. Try again. And that's a slightly more difficult problem. So that's just a simple discrimination problem with two variations. Another possibility for format for single pieces of learning is the paired associate problem. That's a fancy name for it, but it's something that we know very commonly, for instance, with flashcards. The idea of a pair is that this goes with this. Paired associate learning is where you show the person one thing and he tries to remember the other. I can say to you, what's 5 times 9? And you say, I don't know. And I say, it's 45. And maybe I show you several of them in a row, and I come back and I get again to 9 times 5, and I say, what is it? And you say, oh, the 45? Well, yes, it is. You have now paired two associations, two things together. So that's another format for presenting these kinds of information. Another kind is what we call a match-to-sample problem. And with match-to-sample problems, you now enter into a more complicated but also much, much more flexible way of teaching things. Now, I brought my laundry along here, and it really is. I just washed these this morning. Let's say that I have to fold socks. And I go in and I find this one. This happens to be my daughter's sock. And I say, which one of these is like this one? And I go through and I look at different ones. Well, this isn't too hard a problem because she's the only one in the family that has to keep each individual toe warm. So that's an easy problem. But what if I had this sock as my problem? And I would select then from among them. The problem begins to get more difficult because there's 1, 2, 3, there are 4, 5 different socks I can choose. As a matter of fact, I picked the wrong one because the answer to this isn't even in this pile. So if I pick this one and get myself back on the right track, I could go through and find the correct one. With a match-to-sample problem, what you do is you show the person a problem like the one, or you show them the answer, and then you present in front of them several alternatives, including the right answer. If I was to set up a rather clear description of that, I might have this as the problem. Which one of these is like this one? What I was trying to show before, and I really can't show it as well as I might be able to, is how you can control for the level of difficulty of the distractors being the wrong ones. Let's say that this was the problem. Now you see that I have greatly reduced the available information to you for solving this problem. Now the colors aren't very much different than one another. And you don't have fuzziness over here and length over here. It's a lot smaller in terms of the discriminations you have to make. This particular procedure lends itself very nicely to teaching people to make increasingly sophisticated discriminations. Oddity is another format that really is sort of a negative match to sample. It has a lot in common with a match to sample procedure, but in this case you're trying to eliminate the one that does not belong. The particular things I'm using here are very interesting. These problems can be right in two possible directions, but you can't have one without the other. Now I'm going to use this oddity problem, and Jeanette is going to help me to show some of the kinds of things that you can do. So let's start out here. Jeanette, which one of these doesn't belong?
That one.
All right. And which one doesn't belong? Right. And which one does not belong?
The red one.
Simple discrimination occurs when an individual selects a correct item from two or more items. Simple discrimination takes place when an individual selects the correct washroom door or turns the stove dial to the correct position. Match to sample occurs when an object is presented and the individual selects the object from a group. Oddity involves selecting the object that does not belong. The purpose of these learning activities is to make task acquisition easier and faster. The term recall involves responding correctly in the absence of a selection of choices. For example, recall involves providing one's phone number from memory. Recognition refers to the selection of the correct response from a range of alternatives on the basis of prior training and knowledge. Recognition skills are employed when using pictorial cookbooks, using colored tape on measuring cups and matching them to pictorial cookbook instructions, teaching the use of a bank machine, using a pictorial shopping list. For example, matching the item on a card to an item in the store. Some items may be easy to discriminate, like bananas, while others, like distinguishing between cabbage and lettuce, may. Consider this pictorial guide for using a theater. The learner matches a theater pass and a picture of a $5 bill to the teaching aid. The learner wraps the $5 bill around a membership card and places it in his wallet. The learner then gets 3 loonies, matches them to the picture, and places them in his pocket so he can buy a popcorn and a drink when he arrives at the movie theater. Consider this video that shows a number of adaptive devices that can assist an individual with a developmental disability in many activities of daily living.
Welcome home, Rusty. Your apartment is secure.
Okay, can you talk? Come on, Wheeler. Come on, Wheeler. Oh, I'm sorry, Wheeler. I love dog treats. Like have an apple?
You have new email from Cindy.
I got your message, Rusty. Yeah, I'd love to come over tomorrow night. Make something good. I'll be hungry.
Wheeler, we got work to do. We are in real trouble. I don't know why I'm gonna fish for Cindy.
Hey, Uncle Rusty.
Hi.
Hang on, it's for you. Hi. Hey, Rusty, it's good to see you. What's up?
Hi, sis. Cindy's coming over tomorrow for something good to eat. I'd like to have that recipe of that good spaghetti of yours.
Oh, absolutely, but you'll need to make a quick trip to the grocery store. I'll send you the ingredients on your mobile while you go, and then tomorrow I can send you the recipe. How's that?
Thank you, Seth. I'm on my way. Talk to you later.
Okay, I'll see you soon, big brother.
Safety alert. The stove is on.
Whoops. How come you didn't tell me the stove was on? Oh, man.
Sis is calling. I got a phone call. Sis is calling.
Hi, Sis.
Hi, Rusty. I just sent you the shopping list on your mobile.
Thank you. I'm on my way to the store.
Sounds good.
I'll get a board for me.
Oh, okay, I will. They're looking forward to going to the movie with you next week. See you later.
Goodbye.
This is not your stop. Get off the bus. This is not your stop. Get off the bus. Okay, it's time to signal your stop. Okay, it's time to signal your stop.
All right, $40 for my checking account, please.
Voice fingerprint match successful. Transaction approved.
Here's the shopping list. Press next to start. 1 jar of spaghetti sauce as shown in the picture.
Hi, girl. Did you miss me? Well, no, we got everything we need. See? I did not forget you, girl. And here. Well, girl, I think they get this place cleaned up. I did the kitchen and the bathroom, and you do the den. Let me know when you get done. Yeah, that's a lot better. Hey, Will, this city's caught that right well yet.
Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Now continuing your story. At last some 4 or 5 of us were summoned to our meal in an adjoining room. It was cold as Iceland. And besides a bedstead and center table, could see no other furniture belonging to the place but a wood shelf the four walls, and a paper fireboard representing a man striking a whale.
Time to take the pills, Rusty.
More properly, belonging to the room, there was a hammock.
Huh, girl? I fell asleep. Did you guess that right well yet? I hope Sid sends me that recipe. I don't think Cindy wants breakfast for supper. Good night, girl.
Things to do before leaving for work. Plug in your computer. Turn off the coffee pot. Turn off the lights. Take Rita for her morning walk.
Well, hey there, Rusty.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing okay.
You and Rita out a little early today, huh?
Yes, we are.
Hey, I was wondering, you want to come over and watch the Packer game tonight? It ought to be a good one.
We got plans made.
You do? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you got a big plan made then.
Oh, yes.
Oh, good for you. That sounds like fun. Well, hey, then maybe next time then.
Okay.
All right, dude. So we'll see you around. Enjoy your walk.
See you. Thank you. Well, off to work. See you later. Rita, I thought I told you stay off the bed. Well, it's 4 o'clock, and I'll be home soon. Hi, Rita. Oh, you'll get done already. Well, I hope my sister sent me that recipe.
Here's my recipe for spaghetti.
See, Rita? I told you they wouldn't forget. You were good for nothing.
First, put the hamburger in the pan. Get out the big pan for the noodles. Add the sauce to the meat and mix it together. Good job. Now it's time to eat.
Let's have some music.
Hi, Rusty.
You look really nice today and pretty too. What's that mean? That will help before you put the cheese on. Well, Cindy, I've looked up in here. It's your turn to pick the movie.
Tap again. Where would you like your movie played? Big screen.
What movie did you pick?
Lady in the Tramp.
That's a good one. girl. Boy, I had a fun time. What do you think, girl?
Click here to send an email. Now pick the picture of the person you want to send an email to. Start recording your email message after you hear the beep.
Hey, Seth. Thank you for the recipe. Cindy really likes your spaghetti. Wait, what's he have to say? Thank you very much.
For assignment number 3, you need to provide a sample teaching aid. You only need to provide a sample illustration of one of the steps of the task analysis. Your sample teaching aid will need to be laminated and durable. The sample teaching aid needs to include sight words that are a 16 to 20 CPI font size. The sample teaching aid should include the step number that corresponds to the steps on the task analysis. The sample teaching aid should also be constructed in a manner that any individual would be proud to own it. Avoid making a teaching aid that is too busy, too complicated, or too juvenile. Accommodation refers to the alteration of instructions or expectations to aid in inclusion. Consider this video clip featuring Jerry Miller.
Jerry came to our attention when Dave Hammis from the Rural Institute began working with Counterpoint, a developmental disability agency in rural Livingston, Montana. Dave helped develop a vocational profile with Jerry and discovered his love of sports, and especially the Denver Broncos. Dave also noticed that Jerry spent all his pocket change making copies on the public machine in the local supermarket. Linking these loves with Jerry's desire to work in an office setting, Dave and Jerry began discussions with a local health club owner who was in need of significant amounts of Xerox copying. Jerry's business relies on limited support from staff at Counterpoint and at the health club. Jerry runs a business within a business, similar to others we have started and based loosely on the concept of resource ownership. Having an exploitable resource such as a college degree or a copy machine that makes you desirable to an employer or customer. Jerry utilized the career project, mentioned here again as JTPA, vocational rehabilitation, and Social Security work incentives. He is doing what he loves in an environment that values and supports his love of sports.
For the past year, Jerry Miller has been employed in a unique situation at the Fire Hall, a local fitness center in Livingston, Montana. The Fire Hall was in need of a copy machine and someone to make copies for them, which included a newsletter publication requiring over 800 copies per month. Counterpoint, a local provider agency, knew of someone who wanted to make copies. To do the job as independently as Counterpoint used a couple different strategies.
It's an exact duplicate of the keypad. The number that he needs to push is highlighted. So what we do is, like, for that, we just hand all of this together with him, and he automatically puts it in, sets it on there, hits the one button, goes on to the next one. If it's like 100, there'll be the number 1, the number 0, the number 0 again, and then the last one is always the start button. This is the notebook that Jerry gets. It gets put in his box. You want to show them? So like on Wednesday, we just did those. On Wednesday, he'll need to make this copy, 25 of them, on that color. And he'll have to do that. When this type of copy is, it has a hard cardstock, then he manually feeds those in, and he knows when you get that, you manually put those in.
Many inclusive strategies such as wraparound and circle of friends rely heavily on unpaid communities. However, an exhaustive study on community volunteering by Robert Putman entitled Bowling Alone highlighted the decline of volunteerism in all areas of community life. Consider this father's skepticism with the idea that paid workers can be replaced by volunteers.
I'm skeptical. I guess over Christopher's lifetime so far we've had numerous workers, and I'm skeptical. I guess over Christopher's lifetime so far we've had numerous workers, and
accommodation requires a reinvestment in family. Traditionally, families have been excluded from the process, and as such, they represent an underutilized source of support. Families need to be considered as allies, not adversaries. Consider the following video entitled Reinvestment in Families.
Have your breakfast?
Sure, Nelson. I'm glad you got breakfast ready. I'm hungry this morning. Nelson, throughout his life, 40 years of his life, was in 19 different institutions, group homes, apartment settings. He came to us from an institution, and one of the first things Nelson said when he came to us is that he had family. And all of our background that we had stated that he didn't have any family. Nelson was very persistent with saying that he had family and he wanted to see his family.
While being shuffled between institutions, Nelson had lost track of his family. His family didn't know where he was, and Nelson was unable to tell anyone where his family lived. As Nelson's support worker, Sandy wrote to many of the institutions, but it wasn't until a chance meeting at a seminar they were both attending did they learn about Nelson's family. They discovered they were living on the Cape Coker Reserve. The next day, Nelson and Sandy drove to the reserve, only to find the family not at home.
We went to leave the reserve, and this red pickup truck came whizzing up beside us and stopped, and fellow jumped out and he came running over. I put my window down and he said, "Do you have my brother in your car?" And I said, "If Nelson Ashkaway is your brother, yeah, I do." And Nelson opened the car door and he got out and him and his brother hugged, and it was just really touching. Very few dry eyes there that day. What types of things do you think you'll need to buy this month, Nelson? You definitely need some new running shoes. I've seen a lot of growth in Nelson from the time he came out of an institution until the present time. He can go to the bank by himself and back home. He can go to the grocery store and pick a few items up and come home. We had to assist him with everything when he first came out of the institution. He's finding that he doesn't need people to help him as much as he used to. He just likes people to be around to visit with. One of the things that Nelson said he wanted to do was to work with horses. We checked out a lot of different horse farms around to see if they needed help. And Nelson was able to go out and do some stuff with horses. And then he found that really wasn't what he wanted to do. What he really wanted was to ride. So we've connected him with some volunteers, and they go horseback riding a lot. And that seems to have satisfied Nelson's desire to be around horses.
Hi, Nelson. How are you?
Nelson has changed quite significantly since being reunited with his family. He seems more content. He just is happy with his life the way it is now.
Direct support professionals should consider themselves as co-participants in the lives of the people they support. The support can reduce anxiety and avoidance of novel activities, and increase the repertoire of the community activities of the persons they support. Consider the following video that shows how a direct support professional facilitated the wedding of a couple she was supporting.
We lived together for 3.5 years together, and then we tried it out and everything, and then we told Marianne, let's have a meeting and stuff, and we talked about it and got married.
Yep, that's how the ball did roll.
The most exciting planning for me was the planning with Donald and Linda together for their wedding. And we got together with some people that they felt were important in their planning that could help them to come up with everything that they needed to know about weddings.
They put on a piece of paper we have to think about and stuff to plan, like the cost of everything and stuff, and it helped us to think, to save money.
Would you help me out for the suit?
Yes, I will, Don. How would you like to get a nice gray pinstripe with a little bit of a background color?
Paul Robertson is our neighbor. He helped us to talk about weddings, how wedding can be true to each other and be faithful to each other and stuff like that. Shao was my little flower girl, and there was a little boy, James.
James, not my little nephew.
He stand up with us, and
him took away the show.
Yeah, he took away the show, yeah, but he was good.
Very good kid.
I love his family, and my family loves him.
And plus my family love you too.
Yeah.
A lot.
The principal reward for me is that I get to see people grow, change, and develop into very giving citizens of the community.
A critical component of accommodation is to share the individual, involving other agencies. Direct support professionals can prepare the individuals they support for inclusive environments by systematic instruction, such as the ones you will be doing in Assignment 2 and 3. Rehearse social skills and use teachable moments. To prepare for next week, read Chapter 12 and do your laundry.